You know, Wall Street is full of legends, right? But this one's different. It's about a guy who the smartest people in the room, the experts, literally called a madman. And this is the story of his absolutely impossible bet. But look, this isn't just his story. It's really a question for all of us. I want you to think about it for a second. What's the biggest risk you've ever taken for something you truly, deep down, believed in? How much would you be willing to put on the line for an idea that everyone, told you was just crazy? Well, for the investor in our story, the answer to that question was 1/3. Yeah, you heard that right. A full third of his entire personal fortune. And get this, he did it in 2013 at 69 years old, all on the line for one single idea. So what was this big idea? It was a car company. But not just any car company. It was one that was just burning through cash like crazy. I mean, nearly every single expert on Wall Street was convinced it was headed straight for bankruptcy. That company was Tesla. And to give you some perspective, back then, its stock price was the equivalent of about $6 a share today. Just $6. And that right there, that's the heart of our story. We're calling it the madman's billion-dollar bet. It's all about a guy named Ron Barron and his decision to make what everyone thought was an insane, absolutely career-ending bet on the future of Tesla. Okay, so what's so fascinating here is just how differently people saw the exact same thing. I mean, look at this. In 2014, all of Wall Street looked at Tesla and saw a company just bleeding cash, a total disaster, a guaranteed failure. But Ron Barron, he looked at the same company and saw something completely different. He saw an opportunity, a chance to be part of a world-changing venture. So you got to ask, right? Where did he get that kind of conviction when everyone else was running the other way? Well, it all started with this one single moment. A pivotal moment, really. It was October 2014, and he saw Elon Musk speak for the very first time at an investor conference. So Musk gets up on stage and he makes this claim that was so bold, it honestly sounded like something out of a sci-fi movie. He said that in just 10 years, Tesla was going to be producing 20 million cars a year. 20 million. To put that in perspective for you, that is more than double what the world's biggest car companies produce today. And the reaction in the room from all these seasoned professional investors? Oh, it was exactly what you'd expect. People were laughing out loud. I mean, they were turning to the person next to them, shaking their heads, just in total disbelief. They thought this guy was completely delusional. But Barron, he had a totally different reaction. He wasn't looking at a spreadsheet, he wasn't crunching numbers, he was listening to a mission. He later said that one single thought popped into his head. This man is not in business, he is trying to save the world. And right there, that was the moment his belief was forged into steel. But you know, having that kind of belief is one thing. Holding on to it when things get really, really tough, that's something else entirely. And that brings us to the most brutal test for Tesla, and for all its investors, a period they called production hell. And when I say things got bad, I mean really bad. In 2018, the company hit what Elon Musk himself called production hell with the Model 3. Their cash was just dwindling away, and by 2019, the stock had absolutely cratered. So what did Ron Barron do? While everyone else was sprinting for the exits, he bought another $200 million worth. Incredible. I mean, look at this chart. The stock price was more than cut in half. Could you imagine watching a third of your entire life savings get just decimated like this day after day after day? The pressure must have been absolutely immense. And that pressure, it wasn't just numbers on a screen, you know, it got personal. He had angry investors calling him up, screaming at him. They were accusing him of being a charlatan, a fraud, gambling away their retirement savings on what they called Musk's toy cars. So in the face of all that heat, all that anger, he turned to his team and said this incredible line. He said, "I would rather be spectacularly wrong than mediocrely right." I mean, wow. He was just all in, completely committed to his conviction, refusing to back down to the course of fear. And that conviction, right, that willingness to be spectacularly wrong, well, it ultimately led to the final chapter of this story. Let's call it the believer's reward. So flash forward to 2020, Tesla's success is now pretty much undeniable. And Barron writes this public letter to Elon Musk. But what's so amazing is he doesn't talk about the money. He talks about how it made him feel alive again. He said Musk made him believe that investing is about participating in a world-changing adventure. It's pretty moving. And Elon Musk's reply, also public, just captured the entire journey in a few simple words. He just said, "Ron, thank you for believing when almost no one did." That has it all, doesn't it? And, of course, the financial reward. It was just staggering. His initial investments, which were around $700 million, have grown to be worth over $10 billion. That is a return of more than 140 times his original bet. Just let that sink in. But look, the real lesson here isn't some stock tip. It's not about that at all. It's something much more human, much more profound. It's about having the courage to be wrong. This whole story just makes you wonder, doesn't it? I mean, we spend so much of our lives calculating risk, right? We're always thinking about the cost of failure. But what's the true cost of disbelief? What do we miss out on when we're just too afraid to believe in something big? And that really gets to the heart of Ron Barron's whole philosophy. He said it himself perfectly. He said, too many people spend their lives calculating risk. They forget to calculate how wonderful it would be if this thing really works. See, his focus wasn't on the chance of failure, it was on the magnitude of success. It's a whole different way of looking at the world. So, in the end, yeah, Wall Street called him a madman. They called him a gambler who just got lucky. But when you really look at it, when you see his conviction through those darkest hours, his absolute commitment to a vision nobody else could see, it becomes pretty clear. He wasn't a gambler. He was a believer.